American deep state is involved in creating chaos in and around India. Shahin Bagh protests, the so-called farmers' movement, the violence in Manipur, communism is banned in all Islamic countries and Islam is banned in all communist countries. Namaskar friends, I welcome you to the digital media of Uday India, and today in Bharatiyata ka Sankhanath, I want to speak you on a very important subject, and that is Thucydides Trap, America's war on India. As I have told you many times that in Bharatiyata ka Sankhanath, I always speak where the nation is first. And friends, for the past few weeks, many weeks, months, continuously, I want to tell you how American deep state is involved in creating chaos in and around India. In Bangladesh issue, there is not a single iota of doubt over American involvement. But now what we are seeing in India, there is very much a chance that India will soon see some difficult times. And we have told recently how a controversial diplomat of America met Assaduddin Owaisi in Hyderabad. Now another such incident is happening right near our capital Delhi. Umar Abdullah, Vice President of National Conference from J&K, demanded that travel warnings from Jammu and Kashmir be reviewed in order to loosen provisions on entering the Union territory. During a meeting with US diplomats at his residence in Srinagar, Abdullah brought up the matter to notice, and he had a visit from US diplomats at his Gufkar home. First Secretary Gary Applegarth, Political Councillor Avraham and Minister Councillor for Political Affairs Graham Mayer were among the delegation members just after the announcement of elections in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, the question arises, what is the need of these American diplomats in visiting party leaders that are not in the government? I don't have a problem in their meeting, but the issues that they want to discuss with them doesn't augur well for the country, and I can see a conspiracy, a deep conspiracy in that, and even my PM said that. On 15th August, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi affirmed certain ideas from the ramparts of the Red Fort, and Narendra Modi clearly stated, I quote, as we become more powerful, external and internal threats will also increase. However, we want to tell the world that India's growing power is not a sign of crisis for the world, but rather for the welfare of the world. I unquote. When Prime Minister speaks such words on such an important occasion, it sends a strong message to the nation. What the Prime Minister was talking, layman could not understand, but today I will tell you what did he mean by saying that. And in fact, Prime Minister Modi was talking about the Thucydides Trap from the ramparts of the Red Fort on that day. So now the question is, what exactly is that Thucydides Trap? And in this context, Harvard University Professor Graham Allison explains that in the international arena, an established power, ruling power, always wants to prevent a rising power from the standing on equal footing, and therefore when a rising power trying to challenge an established power, the result is often war, whether directly with that country, with the neighbouring countries, or in the form of internal civil war. Friends, statistics show that in the first 500 years, 16 such situations were created where when a rising nation's power increased rapidly, the established nation saw it as a challenge to its power, and that results in war in 12 out of these 16 situations. And Professor Allison calls this situation the Thucydides Trap. Referring to this, Professor Allison mentioned that US military intervened or ousted opposing leaders on more than 30 different occasions in the Western world to resolve economic or territorial dispute in favor of Americans. Currently, we can see that the situation in Bangladesh, which was progressing with a growth rate of 7.8% until just a few months ago, compared to Bangladesh, this threat is much greater for India, because if India established itself as a superpower, then India and China together can change the entire global balance of power. And it is in this balance of power, or rather the desire to remain all powerful, that the Russia-Ukraine war has been prolonged for years to curb Russia's growing power and influence. A similar situation is repeatedly being created in India with the Shaheen Bagh protests, the so-called farmers' movement, the violence in Manipur, and etc. etc. These are the prime examples, and the only reference here is that the enemy's sole objective is to either embroil India in wars with its neighbouring countries or create civil war-like situation within the country to halt India's rapid rise and its becoming manufacturing hub on the world stage. So obviously if India gets disturbed in this way, it will not be able to develop at the same pace and won't become a manufacturing hub. And after that, India would be forced to import weapons, medicines, electronics and other necessities from abroad, particularly from countries like US and China, and that will boost their business. This is the real agenda. This is the hidden agenda, and this is a conspiracy against India. And if I will say that this is a battle of money and power. So friends, it is very important to note that globally China and US are enemies, but when it becomes to India, they become friends. Just like how communism is banned in all Islamic countries and Islam is banned in all communist countries. But in India, communism and Islam become allies because their interest align to take over India. Here is the moot point. And after understanding all these points, it is not difficult to see why despite all the mischief and Maulana Saad was let off, why the Shaheen Bagh protest was allowed to continue, or why the government did not use the force after so much of disruption during farmers' movement. The essence of all this is that the government fully understands every movement of the enemies, and it is skillfully avoiding any situation that could create internal disturbances in the countries, and therefore in my perceived view, the country is going through a critical phase, and the citizens have a crucial role to play in dealing with this, and that role is simple: to remain patient and keep faith in the government and not support any opposition leader whose actions could create a civil war-like atmosphere within our country. So therefore, in such a situation, the responsibility of 1.4 billion people, of whom this country is their motherland, increases significantly. Their role increases significantly to understand these circumstances and make others understand them as well. Friends, this situation, how peoples are making fool, how these leaders have a hidden agenda to destabilize India, destabilize Modi government for their own interest, not for the own interest of the nation. That is what we need to understand, and that is why I specifically told this important thing in Bhartiyata Ka Sankanat, as I told in the beginning. That's all for today. Jai Hind India, subscribe with India, Bande Mataram.